Ефим придет на обед с Зиной.
Теперь у вас есть двоюродная сестра.
Just a cousin, sort of.
Что делала Ростом? Хочешь, что поделал?
Думаешь, я не вижу, что происходит у тебя с этим мальчиком?
Welcome to Movie Recap, and today we are going to be recapping the movie Natasha. The movie begins by introducing us to a boy named Mark. Mark was partying with his friends. After the party ended, Mark went to a room to be intimate with a girl. However, the girl refused his advances, so Mark quietly left. Mark then went home. Once home, Mark watched porn videos on his laptop before falling asleep. The next day, Mark's mom told him that his uncle was coming to visit that day. She asked Mark to wake up early and get ready. Mark's uncle soon arrived with his wife Gina, who was from Russia. During dinner, Mark noticed Gina's bra. After dinner, Mark's mom explained that Gina had to return to Russia because she had a previous marriage and a daughter there. A few days later, Mark's family went to the airport to pick up Gina and her daughter Natasha. This was Mark's first time meeting Natasha. A few days later, Mark's uncle married Gina. After the wedding, everyone came to Mark's house to celebrate. During the party, Mark kept looking at Natasha. After the party, Mark brought Natasha to his room. Natasha asked what he usually did in his room, so Mark said he played video games and studied. Natasha then asked if Mark had ever been intimate with a girl in his room. Mark was taken aback, but replied that she shouldn't talk about such things at her age. Natasha was undeterred and claimed she had been intimate with over 100 people. She told Mark they could be intimate too if he wanted. Mark refused, saying she was his cousin's sister. Now that their parents were married, Natasha dismissed this concern, calling her own mother promiscuous. Mark fell silent. One day, Mark's mom asked him to spend time with Natasha since she didn't have any friends yet in the city. She wanted Mark to stay with Natasha until she made a friend. The next day, Mark goes to Natasha's house where her mom tells him that Natasha is still young and immature. She asks Mark not to get angry if Natasha says something inappropriate. Natasha's mom asks her to get ready to go out with Mark, but Natasha angrily leaves the room, upset with her mom. Mark follows Natasha and asks why she was angry. Natasha confides that she dislikes her mother. Mark takes Natasha to his friend Rufus's house. Natasha enjoys meeting Rufus, who is home alone while his parents are away. Later, Mark and Natasha have dinner at a restaurant. Mark drops Natasha at home, and she tells him not to come over the next day, saying she will visit him instead. The next day, Natasha goes to Mark's house while he is studying. They talk and go for a bicycle ride. Mark meets some friends and does drugs with them. Seeing this, Natasha asks Mark for drugs, too. They use drugs together in Mark's room. Natasha asks to borrow Mark's laptop and sees adult videos playing that he forgot to close. Natasha enjoys the videos and shows Mark private photos, leading to intimacy between them. Mark and Natasha start spending more time together and become physically intimate regularly. Mark grows attracted to Natasha. When Mark's uncle and Natasha's mom take a trip, Natasha stays with Mark. She says she enjoys being with him and wishes she could stay forever. Mark says she can stay as long as she wants. Natasha sadly shares that her mom is cheating on Mark's uncle by seeing another man. Natasha reveals that she confided in her uncle about the situation, but unfortunately her words were dismissed and not believed. Upon Mark's uncle and Natasha's mom returning from their trip, Natasha's mom urges her to come home. But Natasha refuses, expressing her enjoyment of being at Mark's house. Natasha's mom, aware of the underlying reasons for Natasha's reluctance, confronts her about her actions with Mark, leading to heated argument between mother and daughter. Mark's father intervenes to calm Natasha down, but tensions remain high. Mark's parents also intervene, admonishing Natasha for her behavior, ultimately compelling her to return home with her mother. The following day, Mark visits Natasha's house, where Natasha's mom reassures him that the situation is not his fault. However, she describes Natasha as a troubled girl with a promiscuous past, having been physically intimate with many people. With that statement, Natasha's mom closes the door, signaling Mark to leave. Later that night, Natasha arrives at Mark's house with her belongings, announcing her intention to return to her city and inviting Mark to join her. Mark, overwhelmed by the situation, remains silent. Natasha then discloses that her mom divorced Mark's uncle because she caught them in a physical encounter. deliberately instigating the conflict to protect her own interests. Mark is left speechless and conflicted, but eventually leads Natasha to his room. The next morning, Mark offers Natasha some money to assist her in her departure, despite his feelings. There was discussion about Mark's uncle's divorce, specifically why Gina decided to divorce Mark's uncle. Mark was privy to the entire truth, but chose not to disclose it to anyone. As days passed, Mark received calls from his friend Rufus, yet Mark avoided answering Rufus's calls. One day, Mark visited Rufus's house and was surprised to find Natasha there, now residing with Rufus. Rufus expressed his attempts to inform Mark about Natasha's situation through multiple calls, but Mark's reluctance to answer became evident. Natasha's gaze met Mark's, and in that moment, Mark's expression turned to anger. It dawned on Mark that what he had believed to be a love affair was nothing more than deception. Fueled by frustration and disillusionment, Mark abruptly left Rufus's house on his bicycle, leaving Natasha behind, staring after him. Returning home, Mark reflected on his experiences with Natasha, realizing the complexities and uncertainties of love. With this contemplation, the movie concludes.